Good evening, everybody. 7:45 p.m. We're starting the June meeting of the Town of Mamaroneck, Village of Larch Trent Coastal Zone Management Commission will be called to order. We have an agenda tonight of 8 items, but 5 of them are significant. The first item on the agenda is an unfortunate one. We lost one of our members in the last few weeks, Howard McMichael, one of the founding members of the Coastal Zone Management Commission and one of the drafters of the local waterfront revitalization program, the LWRP, that this commission serves to implement. Howard was a pillar of this community. Everybody knows the boatyard, Howard McMichael boat brokerage and all his activities. Great contributor to the town and a wonderful person. We were sad to have lost him. Came kind of as a surprise to all of us. If anyone else has anything they'd like to offer, add to that, any of their members, please do. Otherwise, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes. We don't have minutes from last month, so we'll hold that till next month because we haven't met in several months because of the pandemic. Okay. And we'll move on. I'm sorry, did anybody else have anything they wanted to offer?
Yeah, I just want to say that Howie was a pillar in the community. He was very involved, and as you were saying earlier, Alan, about the waterfront and the condition of the water, and really on point on anything that dealt with the coastline in Larchmont and Mamaroneck. And he really was. He really was our source. He really was, if you pardon the pun, our anchor as far as the waterfront was concerned.
This is Mark Dodick. As a former member of CZMC, I served for CZMC for over 20 years, and Howie was there the whole time and just always was balanced and respected the different sides of an argument, and I think was fair and just really just important to the community and to this commission. And I think it's going to be a big loss to our community. So I wanted to come here today just to pay my respects and just say that he was a really good guy.
Yeah, we will miss him, but no question about that.
I'd just like to second that, Mark. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I only overlapped with Mr. McMichael since 2014, but I'm so glad I had the opportunity, to meet him, and he was just a font of knowledge. I mean, he knew everything about everything, and he will be sorely missed.
Agreed.
Hi.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
I'm sorry. I'm having such a hard time connecting. Okay. I have to, for some reason, my devices aren't working. I'm on my iPhone right now. Hello.
We're seeing you. We're seeing you and hearing you.
Okay, good.
Anyone else have anything they want to add as far as Howard goes? Or we'll move on to the first referral of the evening.
Okay, let me promote the attendees and from the first item on the agenda.
Okay.
Acura tonight, so I'm going to promote. I'm going to promote Jonathan Villani, who's representing LMC TV. And did we want to introduce everybody that's here also? Dr. Mason, do you want me to introduce everybody that's here?
Please do. Yeah, please do, Liz.
Okay. We have members of the Coastal Zone Management Commission. We have, well, I guess I'll just call out your names and you can see if you're present. We got Tara Anderson. We have Sarah Hanna.
Present.
Matt Teich.
Present.
Forgot the chairman, Dr. Alan Mason.
Hello.
We have Robert Fletcher.
Present.
And not present tonight are Maurizio Bertini and Conan Sheff. And then we have our liaisons are with us tonight. We have Jane Elkanini from the town of Mamaroneck, and we have Peter Finelli from the village of Larchmont.
Hello.
And we have
welcome everybody.
our guest Mamaroneck. And then we have Jonathan Villani just joined us to represent Acura.
Good evening. Can everybody hear me?
Yes,
I hear you, we're not seeing you yet.
Oh, no?
I see him.
Bottom.
I have image.
Oh, you have? Some of you haven't?
Oh, okay. All right.
Good evening. I'm
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Jonathan Villani, representing Acura, Westchester Motor Vehicle Company. We are presently going for a special use permit, renewing one that we've haven't renewed in quite a while, but we are renewing it now, and we are presently in front of the zoning board for some sign variances, as well in the planning board to renew the special permit. Tonight, I gather we're here to talk about just the landscaping in front of Acura.
Well, anything that you're asking for a variance on, you can at least mention. It may not be something we would have a position on, but.
Well, the variance is a result of for some reason, there was a lapse in the special use permit that in the local zoning ordinance is supposed to get reviewed every 2 years, but Acura hasn't had it reviewed. So in that time, they had signs installed that have been there for over 20 years, over 20, 25 years. So apparently they don't adhere to the local zoning ordinance now. So we're getting official variances for the existing signs that are already there in place.
Could you be a little more specific?
So the signs that are on the enter and exit sign that are on Palmer Avenue, as well as the Acura sign that's on the corner of Harrison Drive and Palmer Avenue, they exceed the sign allowance as far as size and lettering.
And what's the other item that you mentioned?
We're getting a special use permit, which is just a natural renewal that we're supposed to get every 2 years because of the use of the Acura business that's in that particular zone. So they're supposed to get a renewal every 2 years, so that we're up for renewal right now. And we've agreed upon a proposed site plan and some minor alterations to the site that they, as of the last meeting of the planning board, they agreed was sufficient as far as markings on the pavement, some indications of where parking would be, just small alterations to the site. So now we're presently getting the zoning variance as well as a coastal permission so that we can finalize and get a public hearing from the planning board.
Do you have a parking problem that you need a variance?
No parking issue now, not anymore.
I'm sorry, repeat that, please.
There was no parking issue as of now with the new site plan that was proposed to the planning board.
And what were the specifics on that?
We had to indicate where the employees were going to park versus customers and versus display vehicles. So we now, at this point, we've designated areas where that will be displayed. The size of the property is adequate for the amount of employees that are occupying the building at any given time. So we're actually now in agreement of the parking layout.
Can you just clarify something for me? Are you in the portion that is town, or are you still in the village?
The town, well, everything that I've ever applied for went through the town, but there is a sort of a triangle there that mixes in where, because of the location, we do have to announce our intentions to the village of New Rochelle as well as the city of New Rochelle as well as the village of Larchmont.
That was my question. I thought that there was some straddling of the line there.
Yeah, we're supposed to, we as part of the public hearing have to, and also the coastal commission have to announce to them the intentions of the site via mailings.
Liz, do we have any paperwork on this? Do we have anything that spells it out?
It spells out what the plan is. I think
Yeah.
I uploaded some documents that he had sent us.
Okay.
Do you want me to, I think I got,
Sure.
let me see if I can do this.
If you hit the Alt button, you'll see the controls, and there should be a green arrow that says share screen. Oh,
Yeah.
there we go.
Do you have
Very
it?
good. We got it.
Look at that.
Isn't that
All
great?
Yeah. So there was a grander proposal that Acura, and this is what started the whole special permit use renewal, a whole grander scheme that the Acura was going to put together, but they've decided to abandon that So when that happened, the special permit came about that we'd had to renew it because it hadn't been renewed for quite a while. And then we went into this whole process of massaging the proposed site plan. And now this is the final site plan with landscaping and the new positioning of the parking as well as handicap spaces. And obviously getting the variances for the signage.
So this is a significant change in the layout of the place. I didn't realize it was that much, but it looks nice. Looks if you've, I like the landscaping along Palmer and all that.
Yep. Well, it was part of the planning process that they wanted to screen the display vehicles as much as possible.
That's kind of an oxymoron, isn't it?
Yeah. Which, yeah, that discussion did come up too. That you're asking us to, you know, to do the one thing that car dealerships have to do, which is display vehicles. Asking us to pocket.
I want you to hide your light under a bushel. Okay. Anybody have any questions?
Just one more, just so you know, to make you feel more comfortable with the zoning issue. I've already presented in front of the zoning board a preliminary presentation where they only had an issue with the illumination of the, the architectural review board, the illumination of the sign that's on the corner of Harrison and Palmer. So they're comfortable with everything else except for they wanted to present that to the zoning board. So that'll be discussion I'll have with the zoning board.
Okay.
Is there a photograph of the existing signs that are needing a variance?
Yes. You're gonna have, if you have a minute.
We do.
I could probably get them. Just bear with me. This is gonna be challenging. I'm gonna get off the screen share so I can find them, and then I will be right back. I'm gonna go get them from my email.
So while he's off, the planning board had some issues with loading and unloading of cars from the car trailers in the street. So they've been struggling to find a way to load and offload on the property. So last I heard, they were loading and unloading on the Larchmont side, which is the little gas station property over there.
Right. Is that owned by Acura, that gas station property, or is that a separate?
It is, or if it isn't, it's leased by them.
But you do have control of that property.
Yeah, I think Jonathan's looking.
Yes. Going off of Harrison Drive. I'm sorry. I'm trying to concentrate on getting this.
All right. I won't interrupt you. Go ahead.
Yes. I think I have it. Yes, they own that property. Wondering how to treat this.
Yeah, that's a problem on the post road too with Katina.
Yeah, they presented, they started to unload and load on their gas station property. And they've also dispersed trucks to other sites to unload, and then they drive the cars over.
Okay.
All right, now let's see if I can do this.
That doesn't look like Larchmont.
No, that's my screen, right? So then at least I got my now. There you go. Can you see that now?
Yes. Yeah, there it is.
All right.
Thank you very much. Sorry to have
No,
so much time.
This is like, blitzkrieg. I'm learning how to do this on the fly, so it's good.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah.
So all those signs are going to be illuminated now.
No, none of the signs are illuminated. They actually don't even use it too much. The Acura sign that's on the lower left-hand corner,
Yes.
that parts and services sign is illuminated. So they're deciding whether an Acura doesn't really see either way. They're not strongly, because at nighttime they're really only open for a couple of hours and then closed. And during the summertime, it's, Daylight
Don't
stays.
need it anyway.
So they don't use the illumination as much as you would think. So that's the, those are the signs. We are removing, just so you know, if you look underneath the enter sign, on the upper right, we're removing the lower signs. They asked me to remove those on the lower part where it says parts and service entrance next street. So we're removing those.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah. So the only signs, the enter and exit sign will stay, and then both of those, the Acura sign and the parts and service sign on Harrison and Palmer will remain.
It's hard for me to see any coastal zone issues here.
Well, the coastal zone issue, I probably would have just been the landscaping and just an overall picture of what's going on. That's all. Am I correct on that, Liz?
I would think I met with Jonathan and we looked at the landscaping together, and I made some recommendations for types of plants to put in, and that's what he's done on his drawing.
Okay. So does anybody else have any questions or anything like that? All right, Liz, would you prepare a consistency letter on that?
Yes, I can do that. Where did everybody go? Hold on.
Go back.
Hold on. I lost my screen. I know you're there somewhere.
Is this the first one? Is this the first one you guys are having?
First one we're doing this way, yeah.
This nature? Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
It's going well. We're all right.
Yeah, we're okay. Except I just lost my screen altogether. But let me see if I can.
We can see you though.
Again, you can see me.
Yeah, we can hear you too.
Okay, wait, I think I got it. Okay, I can see you now. Okay, so I'll prepare a letter of consistency to send to the planning board.
Does anybody have any objection to a finding of consistency?
No,
Okay. Jonathan, you're good.
Thank you very much.
All
Thank
right.
you, Jonathan.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so next we have I'm gonna promote the attendees for 8 Hawthorne now.
Greetings, everybody. This is Edward Keating, the homeowner of 8 Hawthorne Road.
Welcome.
It's good to be here.
Good to see you. I think we just have your we just have you on
Just have your name. We don't really have you.
Yeah, start the video.
there he is.
Come here, Nora. I have my daughter here with me, too. She's way cool. Come on. Have a good sleep. I love you. Have a good sleep. I'll see you in the morning.
Oh, there you are, Rick.
Now we can see your smiling face.
I'm just sending my big kids off to bed.
All right, Rick, what kind of
Rick is joining us.
pray say on what you're doing?
You're on mute, sir.
Rick, we're not hearing you.
You have to unmute yourself.
Let me see if I can unmute him. Am I allowed to unmute him?
Yes.
Yeah, you can.
Rick. Rick,
Now you're unmuted. Now we can hear you.
now we can hear you.
Oh, okay, good, good. Okay, so we want to make, oh, there's a Ubata. Okay, hi, Ubata. So I will give a general description of the project and then let Ubata take over with regard to stormwater management and erosion control issues. So I'll start with the photographs of the site.
Rick, could you crank your audio up a little bit? You're a little weak.
Not sure how to do that.
Just your volume button.
Down the lower left-hand corner
Oh, wait, let me go to settings. Yeah, I don't see a setting for volume.
Do you see a little graphic for Mike down in the lower left-hand corner?
Yeah,
I think if you key on that, then you'll get a screen that'll allow you to change the audio setting.
in Zoom or in settings?
No, in Zoom. If not, just try punching up your own audio on your computer. What kind of computer you have?
PC. Yeah.
Okay. Is there something up top, the volume?
Mic. Yeah, I see the mic. The bar graph doesn't go up very high, but I don't see a setting.
Do a little vertical carrot.
All right, we'll limp along on it. Don't
Yeah,
kill yourself.
I don't see anything obvious. If I raise my voice, is that sufficient?
That's fine. Yeah, that's great.
All right. So basically, this is the site plan. Here is 8 Hawthorne is in this location with 6 Hawthorne on the left and 12 Hawthorne on the right. This is the front of the house. 6 is on the left. 12 is on the right, kind of invisible there. There's a lot of mature planting in and around on the neighborhood. These are the houses across the street. This is the border planting on the right-hand property line. And as we go in the back, this is mature screen planting that screens from the rear yard to the rear of the house on Howell Avenue. And then panning to the left, you see more screen planting. Panning to the left, this is the left rear corner of the property. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the existing municipal drain back in this location. And again, panning to the left, these are the houses, the rear of the houses on Palmer. And just an overview. This is the screen planting for 6 Hawthorne. So that's the driveway for 8 Hawthorne, and you can see the screen planting in that location. Let's look at the site plan. This is the existing site plan and the proposed. So Hawthorne Road is down sheet down here. This is the existing structure is 2.5-story structure with a deck in the rear and the existing garage. This is again about to address this. This is where the municipal drain's located in the back and the left. The proposed site plan, there's a 2.5-story addition to the rear, new deck and patio on the right-hand side, and the garage remains. There's a zoning variance required in the front. There's a previous zoning variance that was granted a number of years ago. That's this small rectangular area here that'll be part of the proposed construction. I mean, it's to remain, in other words. So the variance for the open structure of the porch is this rectangle on the left and this rectangle on the right. And it will be, going to planning and zoning in that regard. Then just to kind of show you the context. This is the street elevation. So this is the proposed, let's see, let me change the zoom a little bit. Yeah, so this is 8 Hawthorne, 6 Hawthorne, and 12. So this is the, can't quite see it's dotted there. That's the existing, this is proposed above. And then the new porch in the front.
Is my memory serving me correctly, Rick, that there's been a flooding problem in that area?
The rear yard is wet. And there has been work in the back. Obata can speak to the history of that. There was, mitigation work done in a couple of improvement projects. So yes, so the answer is yes. Do you guys need to see the floor plans or any of that inside, or is that sufficient?
I think everybody's interested in drainage, right? Is that the issue?
Yeah, I mean, if that's the case, I think Ubata could probably take over. And then if there are any other questions architecturally, we can go back.
Let's hear about the drainage problem, because that's always a concern in that particular area. I can remember some fairly long meetings with people in that area when some various changes were being proposed years ago. Matt, do you have memories on that too?
Yeah, that's probably about 3 years ago, 4 years ago, maybe.
At least,
yeah.
yeah.
Ballpark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you see the screen with the plan on it?
Yeah, but I can't hear you.
How about now? Any better?
It's a little better.
A second. Or worse?
No, that's fine. That sounds good.
Okay. With regard to the stormwater, let's start with existing on the site. There's an existing drain line that passes through the site. Existing drain line in this corner over here that leaves the site. A few years ago, we did work to capture the existing garage and existing driveway. All of the runoff from that area goes into a trench drain, catch basin, which then goes into an attenuation gallery. This attenuation gallery controls the flow of water to a reduced level or equal level of what was coming off the site before connecting into the town drain line. In the proposed condition, given the additions in the front and the additions in the back, we did testing on the site. The testing that we'd done a few years ago, area in the back, groundwater, very shallow depth. At this elevation here, we hit groundwater at about 39 inches. In this area here, we hit full depth with no problem with regards to groundwater. So we're proposing Coltex to capture this area, which is the front portion of the additions, existing portion of the roof, and the front half of the garage, which is directed into these 3 Coltex. For the 25-year storm event, anything in excess would overflow back down this line, essentially back into the town drainage. But it'd be an improvement on what's currently on the site right now.
And where does that town drain or municipal drain that you're talking about, where does that go?
This is a town drain right here, goes into a drain on the property and then leaves through an easement on the neighboring property.
And where does it end up?
That I don't know, quite honestly. I can look into that though.
I'm kind of curious about the capacity of that, because
Well, again, whatever is going on the site based on the topography goes around this way. This is still a high point along this side. It's all going towards that drain. The original design with that attenuation gallery is meant to control it. So whatever was going through into that drain line is less than before. We're making sure it's a reduction or matching what was leaving there, because we're not allowed to obviously increase what's going to that drain line.
we understand that.
I recall it goes out to Weaver Street ultimately, but I can't fully remember from a few years ago.
And then down to the post road and past the hummocks and Because I've seen that whole intersection totally underwater too.
I know the town did some work on that drain system when the last engineer was Gessel, but I don't know the specifics of the design and what they changed, what improvements were made then.
Has it been better? I mean, I don't recall having seen serious flooding down there lately. Were those efforts, did they bear fruit?
Maybe Mr. Keating can answer that.
Yeah, from a homeowner's perspective, they have. I think it's been the pipeline that was installed replaced a former pipeline, that was abandoned by the town. So that pipeline was introduced because the former pipeline was abandoned. So it has been, in my opinion, a net benefit. Not just for my own home, but the neighbors in our area.
And this is not a knockdown and rebuild. This is an addition.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
That's refreshing.
How much additional impervious area is there on the site?
I believe based on our calculations on the site, it's roughly 800 square feet of impervious increase. We're capturing in the Coltex 1346. So we're catching more than technically what was the net increase on the site.
Anybody else have any questions?
What kind of surface is the play area?
The play area, oddly enough, my kids have gotten a little bit bigger, so they've on the play area. So we're very fortunate to give that play area to our neighbor. So that's grass now.
Okay.
Did you decide more about the trees in the front that you were going to probably, were you gonna have to remove the one on the left?
As far as the Coltex, the only thing we're really looking into is essentially relocating from this side of the walkway to this side to avoid this tree over here. And it'd be easier to get the orientation because it would be one Coltec and then two over here. So it makes a sort of clearance away from the trees. And then this area of the house over here, this addition, there's no foundation. So we're not worried about, if you will, being too close to the foundation on that end. We'll be more than 10 feet from the house's actual foundation.
But you said the drainage wasn't as good in that corner over there with the depth
over here, which is about 2 feet lower. It's a little lower. And again, we're going to do testing at the time of construction to confirm there's no water in that area.
Okay.
But worst case, we switch to an attenuation galley, which is still a controlled flow and a reduction of what's leaving the site.
Okay, anyone else have anything they want to ask?
Does the addition include basement, or is it just all above ground in terms of the front porch and the back addition?
Yes, it includes a basement. Could you hear me?
Yes, I could hear you.
Okay, you are.
Okay.
You want to see, does everybody find it consistent or not?
I think it's consistent. I'm not, I'll vote in favor. Bob?
Yeah, I was just, this is Matt. I'm just looking at that with one of the first pages. Just so you have on the table of zoning classification and all that, maybe I'm just misreading something. It has lot coverage, allowable requirements 35%, and then you have existing 30.3% at about 1,700 square feet, and under proposed, it's the same 30.3%, but now it's almost 3,900 square feet. I'm not sure how it, where I'm missing something there with lot coverage. It shows the same percentage under existing and proposed, but a drastically different number of square footage coverage.
Was that the architectural or the civil?
I don't. It's one of the first. It's the first page of drawings in the meeting agenda that Liz had sent out. It just says zoning classification, town of Mamaroneck, R15. You know, the nice little table, and there's a nice just little basic graphic of proposed coverage, existing coverage. It's hold on, let me scroll through. Drawing A1. And it doesn't really mention what your impervious. There's no. I don't see the line item. And you quoted the number, but I don't see it any. I didn't see it on the drawings in a quick kind of look through. Sometimes it's in the same kind of chart.
Yeah. Ubada, was your numbers? What are your numbers?
We didn't do a zoning table, Rick. But as far as coverage, I believe you guys count decks towards coverage.
Yeah.
We wouldn't count the deck technically towards stormwater coverage. It's typically it's gravel underneath. The water would get through.
Right. The difference between coverage and impervious. Right. There's just an inconsistency. I was just trying to follow where I could stay 30.3% coverage, but more than double the square footage in lot coverage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the page. I'm looking. I have the stuff up on another window, but yeah, that exact graphic right there. If you look right where your mouse is,
Yeah.
the square footage more than doubles, but the percentage stays the same. I was just.
Yeah, that is probably a typo. I mean, the coverage is over here on the left, so you can.
Right, it doesn't look like it increases that dramatically. I just was stuck out.
Yeah, we'll double check all of that.
I don't think we have to bring you back for a second meeting or anything on that, but if you would get that information to Liz, if you would, please.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just make sure that they get that in and that it's included in the planning board.
Yeah, we'll put that in our planning board recommendation.
Okay.
Okay.
To your question, Alan, I can support this as consistent because of the additional Caltech, which seems to be adequate to handle the impact of the additional coverage.
Yeah, I agree. But they always worry me a little bit because if once the ground gets saturated, there isn't much. They're not doing that much for you, but I understand, and you know, it's a real world too. So okay, we'll hold off on the consistency letter till we get the information that we need, but then I think we probably will be able to give you a consistency.
Or do you want to just put it in as a condition in the consistency letter?
I think we can do it that way if that'll work, Liz.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Everybody with me on that?
Yeah, agreed.
Tara, you're smiling. You're up. Okay. Okay, Bob, you're there.
I'm there.
Okay, and
Sarah,
you're with us on it. Okay. Okay. Thanks, Sarah.
Okay. Thank you. So then let's, so that consistency letter is part of the record. Is that correct for going forward with the checklist or site plan?
Yeah, that's
right. So I'll write a letter to the planning board saying that we found it consistent, and then just with that one, that we recommend that one item gets corrected.
Or clarified, or however you want to deal with it, but you'll have to deal with it.
Yeah, we'll take care of that right away.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you all for your time.
Good to see you again, Rick.
Okay, likewise, Alan. And Alan, I must say you have the most impressive Zoom room I've seen.
The most impressive what?
Zoom room. Your space, it's the most impressive I've seen to date.
Looks very real.
I find it worrisome, like he's building something that's going to frighten all of us.
The mad scientist room.
Well, my son years ago gave me a hazmat suit, complete with the hood and all that. And I thought I would just go around some night and knock on the neighbor's door and just tell them everything was all right. And leave.
Okay. All right, enjoy. Have a great evening.
Thank
Good
you
night,
all.
Rick.
Thanks, Rick.
Good night, Edward.
Bye.
Good night now.
Good night. All right, I'm going to bring Benedict Salanitro and Stephen Marsh, who are presenting 16 Greystone and 32 Colonial.
And I hope not everything in between.
One house at a time.
Hi, guys. Good
Hi
evening.
there.
Let me just get this together. Hi. Just real quick, I just want to mention Howie McMichael. I'm glad you guys took a moment to recognize Howard's accomplishments and dedication to the village and the town. I got to meet Howard 33 years ago when I started with the village, and all that time, he's been a great man to know, and he'll definitely sorely be missed. So I just wanted to offer my thoughts on that as well.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. He was a great guy.
100%. I'd like to share my screen so I can bring up the plan.
Please do.
Okay. Do I have? Yes. Okay. So we have on 16 Greystone, the application is for demolition and reconstruction or construction of a new single-family dwelling. This site plan, this is the existing site plan survey of the house. It has since been removed from the property. We are proposing in its place a new structure, and you can see the length of the driveway, how far it's set back. We are proposing a new structure that would actually have a total impervious surface reduction of a couple hundred square feet. What we did, this application is currently before the planning board. We had a consideration and a public hearing last 2 weeks ago. The property, Greystone, obviously, we did a number of soil borings around the existing structure, and even during demolition, we confirmed the shallow presence of rock. With the town's consulting engineer and the town's engineer, we went through a few peer review meetings. The plan is proposing to go with pervious paving system for both the rear patio and the driveway. And we are going with water quality provisions by installing a underground drain system, perimeter drain system with two rain gardens on either side of the dwelling. What this essentially is going to do is control the stormwater runoff from the roof, roof leaders and gutters. The current site is uncontrolled, and the rate of runoff that's existing was far greater. What we're doing is we're going to manage that runoff with the containment of underground piping, as well as the installation of these rain gardens. The infrastructure is going to be reutilized with respect to water. The sewer line will be new, and Con Edison will resupply the gas service to the proposed new dwelling. Again, the house has been removed, and we are awaiting site plan approval with the planning board. So it's relatively atypical. Mr. Marsh has constructed and is finishing up a new home just across the street on the corner of East Garden Road from here. So we are familiar with the conditions of subsurface rock, et cetera.
It's on West Garden, did you say? Ben?
East Garden, 145 East Garden, which is in the corner of Greystone and East Garden Road. So diagonally across from this site is where Mr. Marsh is finishing a new home, which obviously came before this commission as well.
Yeah, I recall that.
You don't recall that?
I do, yeah.
Okay. And we have a landscape plan, which was prepared by landscape architect Dan Sherman, which shows some foundation planting, some new trees, as well as some existing trees that are remaining as well.
She did the landscaping for the other one, didn't she, as well?
Yes. You want to see that? Pull that up if you're curious. Dr. Mason?
Yes, I'm here.
Did you want to see the 145 plan?
No.
Oh, okay.
That was.
We're on Zoom. I can pull up anything you want. It's that easy, believe it or not.
Well, you got better practice on this than we are then.
Yeah, we've been through a few.
Yeah.
This, that's pretty much it. We're putting in a new single-family dwelling where an existing single-family dwelling existed.
And what variances are you having to go for?
No, this we're fully zoning compliant. The zoning table was supplied by the architect, which is here. So no zoning requests are being made. We meet all of the applicable area and setback provisions in the code. This is an R10 zone.
Yeah, okay. How confident, Benny, how confident are you in that those pervious paving stones as far as life expectancy?
Well, the planning board has had many of our projects considered the utilization of the porous pavers and porous paving systems. We've installed, I would say, better than a half dozen properties that have either driveway, patio, and or both. They seem to hold up well. We were always concerned about differential settlement of the pavers, but because of the cross section of stone that's required to be in place for it to provide a beneficial containment for runoff reduction, it's so far so good. When we get to the next location, we had at for 32 Colonial, we constructed a similar system next door on a new home that was built on Colonial Avenue, and it's working out very well. It's working out very well.
What is the requirement as far as the under surface, the gravel or whatever that's seated on?
So I'm going to just pull up a detail to try to explain that cross section.
If you would, please. Thank you.
Yep. It's on this sheet right here. I'm going to blow this up a little bit. So we have the stones are various gradation, and they go to about 12 inches in thickness. So we go with larger stone at the bottom, and then smaller sizes as we get up towards the underlayment under the pavers. And this note here was added by the town's engineer, which is basically we create level steps so that when the as the driveway is not level, we don't want the water to permeate through and rush down, into a slope. So we're creating steps along the way as we get down the driveway gradient. So this is a substantial amount of gravel in here. It's in excess of 12 inches. So, and with the different grade stones, that's what makes the porosity work. So that's the cross section for this is a full infiltration section of pervious pavers.
And your most coarse stone is what, 1.25 inches or something like that?
It's 1.5 inch stone at the bottom. So the base stone is 4 inches of 57 stone. We have 6, 4, and a total of 14 inches. And then we have the fine stone up top at 2 3/8 of the of infill stone. All of the stone is made specifically for the paver that's being specified. And, you know, because it's a quote unquote design, these measurements that are designed, shown here, these are the stone thicknesses. So number 57 is like 1.25 inches stone all the way at the bottom. So these are the gradation. It's worked out pretty well. So even, you know, people like gravel driveways, this is pretty much a cross section of a gravel driveway underneath here. The opportunity for the water to infiltrate the joints is very important, and that's why you know, the vacuuming of the system is important to get any material from getting into those joints. So that's the only drawback, to be honest, Dr. Mason, is that the joints are not wide; they're thin, and they need to be cleaned so that they become. It's like anything else; you need maintenance on them. They do require maintenance.
Yeah, that's always a concern.
Correct.
I think that although it's a good effort, and
yeah, and like I said, we've done a few, and most recent projects that have come through this commission are successfully in place. If you want to see those, I can prepare a list so that, you know, in case you're curious to see how they're holding up, be more than happy to you know, give you a list of recently completed projects that have the system in place, and they look good too. People like them, and
yeah, I'd like to see what that stepping looks like.
Yeah, well, the stepping is below grade, Dr. Mason. So it's just basically so that as the water infiltrates, especially on the steeper, this driveway is not very steep, but on a steeper driveway, well, you don't want to have you don't want the water to infiltrate and just start
one spot. Yeah.
Yeah, without getting down to the base. So it's like, you know, if you have, let's say, a 30-foot long driveway, the steps will be 10 feet, you know, and then 10 feet. So the subgrade will be stepped, but obviously the pavers themselves will follow whatever contour is necessary.
Right, I got you.
Okay.
All right. Any questions? Anybody on the board?
No, it looks pretty clean. There's actually a reduction, what, a couple 100 square feet reduction in
yes,
impervious, and that's including the porous pavers as impervious.
That is correct.
Yeah, so
Right.
it's a I think
A larger
I
volume.
think it's a win for the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's all
agree.
rock out there.
I have a question. Do the rain gardens count towards the pervious cover?
So the rain gardens, this is a quick calculation. So what we've done is we were attenuating the quality volume, not quantity. So the water quality volume is calculated based upon the state stormwater chapter 4. And what we've done here is we basically presented to the town the volume containment or attenuation by utilizing the total square footage of impervious area. So to answer your question, yes, we're using 3,200. So here is 0, and we're using impervious area of 3,245 square feet as we calculate through the water quality volume. So the area is including the impervious surfaces, yes.
So what percentage of the pervious are the rain gardens? Is that
100% water quality. It's water quality and water quantity, 2 different subject matters. So this is because we have our depth to bedrock is shallow. There is no feasible method of attenuation for water quantity. So water quality volume, you can see here, is 128 cubic feet of volume provided in the rain gardens and in the swale, perimeter swale. Not water quantity, just not the water quantity, just the water quality volume. That's what we were expected to contain.
Do the homeowners tend to keep the rain gardens, or, because I mean, in terms of the maintenance, I'm sure it's high maintenance.
Well, we have a few of these installed as well, with much success. And one of the nice things about how the future looks with the site plan approval process through the planning board, which is relatively new, it's 2-3 years old now. The site plan is a document that stays in perpetuity. So the requirement is something that has, you know, if it's removed or if there's changes to it, the town has the ability to enforce the site plan, the approved site plan. So this is the residential site plan law, which is different than what it used to be. And it's the hammer, if you will, for enforcement into the future.
I see. Thank you.
Ben, I'm looking at the bottom of what you have up on the screen now, and you're showing a clay berm. Could you just give us a little background on that?
Well, it goes into the, you know, into the longevity of the rain garden. So we don't want the rain garden to blow out, wash out, erode. So generally we'll use a denser material like clay. And when that's mounded up, it basically, in lieu of building, you know, a structure, a dam structure made out of masonry, in its natural form, it will not allow transmission of water through it. So for the small area, we're dealing with a few hundred square feet. The objective is to utilize a clay to hold back the water into the shallow rain garden. And then we also have erosion mats on the outside when there is for overflow considerations. That this happens to be rain garden A. When it fills up in an overflow situation, the water will come through a designed overflow, and then in front of that on the flat side will be a stone energy dissipator so that it wouldn't wash off downstream. These were situated with a lot of back and forth conversation with how best to situate them. So we're going with the gradient, as you can see the grade lines, going with the gradient to have that be more natural of a flow. So what we won't have is we won't have this, you know, fire flow condition. It'll dissipate with the swale, and the swale cross section is also has a perforated pipe system in it, as well as you know, gravel, and so that holds a certain amount of water too. So we're trying to do the best we can with the shallow presence of rock to have the water, you know, managed during rain events. And you know, these are the practices that, in consultation with the towns, with the staff in the town, seem practical. We had other projects throughout the town where we had the high presence or the shallow presence of rock, where we've instituted these practices. And while there might be some sheet flow off-site, the concept is to reduce the rate of runoff from the pre-constructed conditions to the post-construction. So overall, these are betterments for the site conditions that we have.
Okay, thanks, Ben.
Okay.
Okay, anybody else have anything that you want to get clarified?
The water that does run off the property, where does it go?
Well, right now, you know, I'll make it easy. I'm going to, real quickly as I speak, where am I, 16? I'm going to Google search this so we can all take a look at it. The gradient on Greystone is, can we see that? You guys can see the Google map?
Yeah, we see the greenery.
So, yeah, so this is the house, and Greystone runs down this hill. So it's all of the properties here, unless they've done improvements over the last 10, 15 years, are basically shedding the stormwater flows are shedding off the property right down into the street. As you can see, because we're on a hill, there are no catch basins until we get all the way down to the bottom. So
That's Stony side down there.
is this Stony side or is this Stony
That's
side?
Stony side.
Stony side,
Okay,
yeah.
we go the other
Then
way.
to the left is, then at the bottom it goes to Ellsworth, and then those catch basins go through to the brook.
Correct. I apologize. So this is the East Garden intersection right here. This is where, yes. So this is this right, Steve? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is Greystone and East Garden, and there's the rock. Oops, oh man, that was too hard. Did I get you guys dizzy yet? Because I just had a flash of dizzy.
There we go. It's right there on the left.
You see the rock outcropping here? So essentially everything was running off the side, and you don't see it. Fortunately, I mean, it's a vegetated site, so there's no erosion, but it leaches out, with the rock, some of that, water will find its way through the crevices, et cetera. In this case here, the driveway, while coming out to the street for a percentage of it, part of it was going under the house. So that was never a good situation. I think they were pumping that water out. But yeah, so it's coming, it sheds off the property, comes downhill. Yeah, and so you can see the obvious rock outcropping right here. And that's the condition of the site.
So the planned residence is not going to have a garage at a lower level where the water is going to drain into the garage?
No, the garage will be at this higher level where the cursor is. So we're not going to have that condition. It's a very unfavorable condition to have, because it's not like there's a daylight on the rear side. So this elevation will be straight across here. So that's not, we will not have a garage under the house below the street line.
The driveway will go slightly uphill and then level out towards the entrance
Correct.
to the garage.
Well, yeah. So because
away.
Yeah, because we're shorter in the run.
Yep.
Go back to this. It's kind of, it makes, if you can see the distance from the front to the property line here, it's so much shorter than what was what was existing.
Yep. You can see that at the table too. In the table.
Yeah, they had a long run here, so you can see what was happening here. There's a drain down there, but for all intents and purposes, not functional. So we're cutting that driveway almost in half and bringing that house forward. So that's the difference. So we're going to raise that elevation up and eliminate the problem of the driveway water going into the driveway. So we can see we're at elevation 96. Before was at elevation 93. So that 3 feet is the difference to get that water run out.
And underground utilities and everything.
Yeah, all here.
And if everybody else is thinking, the houses on either side are more forward than this house. This house is actually set back pretty far.
Mm-hmm.
So moving forward in terms of the flow of the neighborhood, it's going to be up. I'm just looking at it now. I live right around the corner.
I know.
It's going to be consistent with either house on either side, right? So it's not.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, I like the plan. I like the plan a lot. I think it'll make the flow. It's an improvement in water right now. I think with the way you're catching it and putting it through the rain.
Trying to manage it. Yeah. This house was torn down too. I don't know if you board members. This house is also on the construction. Well, it's been removed, so it's also on Greystone. So there's a little bit of activity on the street. And a good
bit, huh? Yeah. Okay, thank you, Ben.
Okay, thank you, guys. Take a breather for the next one.
Yeah. Anybody have any objections on this one? Anybody feel it's not a positive? Okay.
I'm positive on it. I approve, motion to approve for consistency.
You have a second on that?
Yep, I second.
Okay. Anybody opposed? Why don't we just cut to the chase? No, none opposed, so I'll call it unanimous. We'll get a letter out for you, Ben.
Thank you, sir. I'm here for the last application of the evening as
I
well.
know.
Okay. Whenever you're ready, I'll
Take a breath and start over.
I'm gonna roll now. I ran them out. I'm good.
Right,
Okay,
this
let
is
her rip.
3032 Colonial.
Yes. A little different circumstance, same objective, existing single-family dwelling being raised. It already has been removed, and the intent is to construct a new single-family dwelling. Next door was a Marsh development project recently completed, and Mr. Marsh lives right behind here. So he's able to walk through the property. So this has been removed. Existing conditions versus proposed. We did have much better success on this property with deep test and percolation test taken. So this project is proposing to add infiltration systems for the containment of both the water quality and water quantity. Like I said, this has already been removed. So the parcel is vacant. This projects similar finish conditions with respect to porous pavers to be utilized for the rear patio and the driveway. We have a portion of the property left and rear that is going to be leveled off with the installation of a very low wall. We have two Coltex being proposed in the rear, which will collect part of the roof system as well as an under drain system for the rear patio. And we have two proposed Coltex in the front, which will do the same for both the roof system that's in the front. Pretty straightforward. When we get into single-family residential non-subdivision work, the pro forma standards are utilized, and we've had success with internal notes and comments that the town planning board has implemented with respect to time that work is permitted. Colonial, when we did the work next door, close to the school, so we have limitations on deliveries, hours of work, being mindful of school, the school proximity. I'm gonna just pull over the Google Earth image for Colonial. This is it here. This is it. Yes. So you can see the state. This property was in a state of disrepair for a very long time. Interesting. This Google Earth image has the photo of the house. Isn't that weird that it's not more recent? But anyway, this is the house that was completed by Mr. Marsh a couple of years ago. I wish there was a more recent picture because you could see the rain garden that was installed in the front of this property. So this is the project site. Colonial.
Once again, you got a lot of rock to deal with too, huh?
We got lucky here. We did two deep test pits, and we got down 6 feet in the rear, 5 feet in the front, and didn't have much problem. When the demolition was done, it was pretty clean as well. So it seems like conditions were much more favorable here. And actually, with this photo, yeah, you can see there wasn't a lot of rock that Steve had to take out for this house, and this was a vacant piece of property. That was adjoined to this house. This was a subdivision that this property owner did on the right. So this was a virgin property, and while there was some rock present, it climbed down pretty quickly. Good project there. So that's that on this one.
That looks like it was almost a sandstone in some places.
You see that? Yeah, I was gonna say it was pretty. You see the way the shale is in there, like
Yeah.
Yeah, it came out pretty easy. I think Steve can talk if you have more details on that, but he was able to pull that out, most of it out without a lot of hammering, which was a good thing.
Not kidding.
Yeah. Well, I think Greystone's going to be a little different, but this rock here was a little bit easier to deal with. So this is, you know, from a location of Greystone, we're down, this is the intersection here. I think the school is right here. There's a school playground right there. So this is Colonial and
Damon Terrace.
what school? Yes, that's right. Thank you, Steve. Yeah, so because of the limitations, we're using the same limitations that we did at 30 Colonial with deliveries and construction work times, which are also on the plan. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it.
Okay, then I won't ask you what what question you were afraid we were going to ask.
You always have a question. Any questions? Absolutely, 100%. Did you have a question, Dr. Mason?
No. I'm
sorry.
You know, I'll get to the point where I almost know what you're going to say next.
Sorry, I'm redundant. I've been doing this too long, right?
Did you do your landscaping plan yet?
Yes, let me get to that. Let me get to that right here. Okay, so landscaping plan is here. We have, let me just get this a little larger. So along the rear, we have 20 8 to 9 foot emerald green arborvitae. We have planting, foundation planting and screening in the front and the rear, and a new Coosa dogwood, 8 to 10 foot right out front. Existing trees that are on the side are to remain. So this is the landscape plan that Mr. Sherman prepared as well. And yeah. Simple. These are small parcels, they're 75 by 100. So there's not a lot of room to do much, but the house sits nicely on the property.
Yeah, the contours of the land make a big difference when it's.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. 100%. I'm trying to see why I can't get to a more recent view. Is there a tab that?
That's all that's coming up for me too.
Yeah, you don't get a 2020 view because that's pretty. Wow. I really want to. I thought they had the new house would be up there to take a look at the finished product, but Steve puts up a pretty good house.
Yeah, I walked by the other day. It did look nice.
Photos.
Yeah. Oh, you saw it? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. That street's really come along. My kids graduated from Murray a bunch of years ago, and it was always, hit or miss. And I'm sure there's still a lot of water there, but it's
yeah,
better, it's better than it was.
Yeah, we've got a nice development across the street as well. They've improved that home. It's a little bit bigger property. It's almost twice the size of this. People are reinvesting or investing into their properties, and the homes are showing a little bit more glitter.
Yeah.
So I assume that like all the setbacks are the required setbacks?
Yes, ma'am. These are all, this is a fully zoning compliant application.
Okay. So I know this is like kind of a silly question, but is there a variance, or like is it just because of the water issues that?
Why are we here?
Yes, why are we here?
Good question. The site plan review process that, as I understand it, and I read the town code that was adopted a few years back, the contemplation was that, all new development, single family or otherwise, would have an opportunity for public input. The site plan review is a public, is an opportunity for the public to comment on the project, and the referral to the Harbor Coastal Zone is a matter of course that's written in the code. So we come to you for consistency review, regardless of whether it's waterfront or not. It's part of the code. That was
well,
best I can answer. It's just part. We have to be here.
Yeah. Well, when the LWRP was first written, it was decided that the entire geopolitical boundaries of the town would be the coastal zone because of the so many streams and so much water rushing down that it was pretty hard to find a place where you could say, all right, this doesn't affect the coastline at all anymore. So
Well,
the Secretary of State then agreed to make the boundary be the entire town.
Yeah, and the site plan review process, the trigger is planning board. Whenever there was an application for the planning board for either a wetland or site plan, the default consideration for consistency at LWRP was pro forma. With the introduction of the new site plan review process, the same standard of coming to this commission for consistency review is being done. So, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And with Zoom, it's easier.
Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I guess if you have a big enough screen, it works.
I'm working off of 3 screens right now, so it's easier for me.
No, I've just got 2 going here. All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody want to make a motion? Hi, Steve. You were a voice, but not a face.
Hello.
Okay.
Thank you.
Fletcher, I'll move that we provide a consistency letter.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Anyone opposed?
No.
No, we got unanimous then. You
Thank
want
you.
another one, Ben?
Thank you, guys. Thank you for your time. Stay healthy and safe. See you
Yeah,
soon.
you too.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Good night, Benny. Good night, Steve.
Good night, thanks.
Okay. So we're just us again, huh?
Right, except we're still on television.
We're still on television?
Yes.
Well, actually, do we have any old business that we have to pick up on from last time? I don't remember anything that was left hanging. Been a long time since we met.
Yeah, I don't recall anything that was still outstanding or I don't think I really have anything to update you guys on. Hasn't been a lot going on.
Okay. And any new business? Is there anything else that we know that's coming down the pipe? Okay, so we have no old business to reconsider, no new business to work on. Okay, then I guess.
I was slow to unmute. I just want to say that you probably are aware have before the town board, we're up to public hearings for a change in the rock removal law. It doesn't necessarily affect you, but I just wanted you to be aware.
Well, why don't you give us a quick price on it, Jay?
As I remember, because it was so long ago, we shortened the hours. That was one of the big things. It's 9 to 4 now. It used to be, I think, either 9 or 8 to 6. And I can send you the full text of the law. Also, we're doing more about, dust is an issue, about the dust mitigation.
Mm-hmm. What was the procedure for mitigating the dust from the rock cracking?
Best practices, like the wetting it down. And I can send you guys all a text of the law. It's also on the website because we had a public hearing at the last town board meeting, and we're going to have another one at the next town board meeting, which is July 15th.
Are you doing your meetings virtually too, or are you doing them in person?
We are, but I can, it's on the website. I can send it to Liz and she can send it out to you guys just to see.
Thank you. That would be good.
I'm writing myself a note, Jane, so be able to find it on the website.
Right, and if not, Bill Maker can send you a copy, or I can. But there was actually it started on Colonial because the house across the street from the one that Steve is building now, that one he said that it was bigger and had a lot of chipping. The guy really chipped a lot, and I guess it was right up to the boundaries of the neighbors. So the neighbors were, very understandably upset. So usually one of these things happen, it's because there's some kind of situation that gets somebody upset. And so we revisited the rules, and the main things again were the hours. It's still 15 days, but it doesn't have to be 15 consecutive days. So let's say, and this is something Steve Marsh actually discussed with us, that you might go in and you're using one piece of equipment and then you realize you need another piece, or, maybe it didn't have to be drilled the same way. So you need a day or two to regroup. So now it's still 15 days, but it's within a 45-day period.
And then that, I'm sure he appreciates that.
He, a lot of the residents came in, and made their requests, and Steve came in and made his suggestions. So it was good. We've been working on it for a very long time, and, heard from a lot of people, and now we had the proposal up for the public hearing. Oh, and then so that's the basic, that they can have the break, and that the hours are shortened, and then the dust mitigation.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anybody else have anything they want to bring up, or we'll take a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved. Okay, second.
Second.
All those in favor? Appears to be unanimous. Mark, good to see you again.
Good to see you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Good luck with everything, Mark. Keep in touch.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Okay, bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Luck.
Travel well, everyone.
You too.